Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and this is the final layout with my Simple Stories page kit for this month. So this is the second bonus layout, so this is the final page where I'm really trying to get all the scraps used up. I've hoarded bits and pieces that I've gutted from the prior layout, so I get to have enough for this page, but I still have a lot of embellishment. So I am hoping I can use as many of the layers paper left over that I have, but I really want to get a lot of the embellishment used up, especially a lot of the kitchen type embellishment. I chose this kit for this month because the theme for this month is sweet and savory, which made me think of food in the kitchen and the home. But I haven't been able to get a lot of the actual kitchen iconography used up this month, so I'm really hoping on this page I can really pile it on. I specifically chose these photos from a date night that me and Marcus went to a local barbecue spot. It's actually in a really old house that was converted into like a Christmas store, and then it was converted into this barbecue restaurant, and they have really good food. But I just thought because it was a house and it is a restaurant, we're eating food and all that kind of stuff, it would be a good way to use all of the kitchen stuff. So I still have that Cartabella paper pad if I need extra paper. I use that on the Mad About Mini paper pads layout for my first bonus layout. But on this one, I really want to just focus on the paper that I have left over from this kit. And really try to focus on embellishment. So I don't actually end up using the Cartabella paper at all, although a lot of those papers match perfectly with this collection that would have looked really cute. I really just want to use what I have of this kit. So I pulled in a 12 by 12 from my stash, just a simple black and white plus sign paper. I thought about doing another wood grain like my first bonus layout, but I really liked the contrast with the black. So I chose to go with this one instead. I definitely wanted to get at least one more frame used up, so I was really happy I had these two photos that fit in this double picture frame. So I'm going to get that used up with both of my photos, and then I'm starting my layering. I definitely wanted to try to use this wood grain, so I'm going to have that as the first layer behind these frames, just being a vertical layer. And then you can see the other two layers I'm really hoping to get on this page, but they move around a lot. The other two papers were gutted from the second double that I did. And as you can see, the paper with the yellow has that floral on the edge of it. So I was trying to figure out a way where the floral on the edge of the yellow scrap could look like the same piece as this other floral scrap. And that just makes it harder for me to figure out how to layer because they're different sizes and it just wasn't working. So when I finally stopped trying to use them as the same floral and just tried to use them as the yellow paper and then the floral paper, it goes a lot easier. With using that wood grain, I was really hoping I could use this wood grain house frame. I thought it would be really cool if I used that as a base for an embellishment cluster, which I think would have been really cool. But proportionally, it was just throwing my eye off, like I don't know, where I wanted my layers and then where that frame had to be, and then for it not to look crowded, it just wasn't working. So I ended up not using that frame. It also bothers me that I have the photos on the right side because Marcus is kind of facing to the right, so it looks like he's facing off of the page, and I don't like that. So I'll end up pulling the pictures over to the left side of the page, and that automatically makes it look a lot better. So I'll end up inverting what I'm doing right now, but I definitely want to use those banners in a top corner. I like that stay a while and that mixing it up banner I think is really cute. And then you can see I'm already pulling in all of the kitchenware. So there's a stand mixer, a colander, there's a kitchen timer, some wooden spoons. I have some more plants and vases, so I'm going to try to use as much as that as possible. I'm thinking what I'll do with the kitchen stuff is just try to have one cluster where I get like a lot of the bigger kitchen stuff clustered together, like the colander and the mixer. So that's how I'm hoping I can make that work. But this is where I decided to finally flip the design because I really wanted the pictures more towards the left so that Marcus is looking into the page, and that right away makes my eye feel happier. And then this is where I decide to use that floral as its own paper instead of trying to use it with that other scrap. So I'm going to cut this into two pieces and pretty much do the same thing I did with the wood grain and just have another vertical piece behind the frames. So I really like that as my base for my layers. I feel like it really helps show off that floral. And then I'll revisit the other scrap that I had with the yellow print later, but this helped me kind of get out of my jam by just using this floral as it was. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up. I'm just using my grid mat to make sure these pieces are straight because it's two separate pieces. I'm trying to pretend there is one piece, so I'm just trying to make sure they're lined up well. But that's the start of the layers. Those banners that are now in the upper right hand corner are going to stay there. I definitely wanted to use these 3 little circle die cuts as well. I think those are so cute. There's one that says, "This is us, be our guest, and choose joy." So I definitely want to use those 3 circle embellishments somewhere. I just don't know where yet. And I know I want to cover up the label on the frame. So I'm trying to find a die cut that can cover that because it had some sentiment about home or something that I just didn't feel like went with the theme since we weren't actually at home. So I'm thinking about that good food one because that's cool because we're at a restaurant and that would make sense. But that kind of moves around a lot too. But now you can see I'm trying to figure out my cluster in the lower right hand corner now. I think that makes a lot more sense. And I really like design wise how this is looking with the photo and all the layers over here to the left, and then my big cluster in the bottom right, and then the little cluster in the upper right. I like that. So now it's just a game of trying to use as much as I can. I really wanted to try to use a lot of these die cuts, and a lot of them just weren't working. That little tag just wasn't working. So I kind of just pulled back and revisited the things I definitely wanted to use. So here's those wooden spoons again that I'm trying. And then here's a journaling piece from one of those double pages I ended up not using. So I'm trying to use it here, but it just is making it too tall, I guess. I wanted it to come out longer. So here's another journaling spot from another double I didn't use it on. And I actually really like this as a foundation for that cluster. I think the wood grain in that frame plays off of the layer behind the photos really nicely, and having it be a skinnier, more horizontal layer I think is more pleasing to the eye and the space that it has to fit in. So now I'm trying to relayer all of these bits. I'm going to pop the colander up on some foam just because I have a lot of die cuts smushed together and I don't want them to read as one piece, so I just want to give some dimension to a couple of these things. So the little vase is going to be tucked behind the stand mixer, and then I have the colander popped up on some foam on top, and I really like that. And then there's a little scrap of one of the branding border strips that I salvaged from one of the doubles that I did. So I'm going to use a scrap of that and just trim it into a banner to have as another horizontal layer, kind of grounding the kitchenware onto that wood grain frame. And I think that helps because even though it's on that frame, because there's white space on that frame, it still looked like all that stuff was floating. And I wanted there to be a defined horizontal surface where it looked all that stuff was kind of sitting on it, if that makes sense. So I really like this little black border that I got added. So this cluster I think is looking really cute. I like that the three circles, I kind of separated them into the two clusters. So I'm using two of them down here by the big cluster and just one of them up there with the banner cluster. I'm trying to make sure I'm balancing the colors. So since I had the red colander in the lower cluster, I'm choosing to have the red circle up in the top cluster. So there's a little bit of red up there. Which I think is really nice. And I think it balances the red that's in the floral by the photos really nicely. So I'm liking how that's all working out. And then I found this little green heart that I somehow lost during the month when I was trying to use up all the heart die cuts. So I'm just going to add that to the kitchen mixer bowl as another just little layering ephemera bit. And I really like what this little green heart adds to the kitchen mixer. I think it's so cute. It just pulls a little green in and kind of breaks up all the big yellow piece, which I think is cool. And I'm really happy with this piece at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and commit and stick it down. So that makes me happy. And the three circular pieces, I don't think I've done it yet, but those I will pop up on some foam as well, so they have a little bit of dimension. And then I decided to use that yellow All Good Food. I moved it up because I just wanted some more embellishment towards the top. But I still wanted to cover that little label piece, so I'll pull in another die cut later to cover that up. But that All Good Food die cut does stay at the top, and I like that. But yeah, I'm kind of stuck still on what to do around the photos, so I still keep just messing with my other clusters. So I'm going to go ahead and commit and glue the banners down. I know I want to add brads to both of my little clusters too, just to accentuate that circular look. I think it'll look really cute. So that's why I was waiting to stick down those circular bits, but I think I finally just did with their little foam backing. And here I am again with this wood grain house frame, really wanting to use it, but it's not going to work. So I give up. But here's another die cut. It says Just Delicious, which again I think is perfect since we're at a restaurant. I'm backing that with some foam, and I'm going to use that to cover up the sentiment on the frame that I didn't want showing. So that worked out really well since I moved the All Good Food piece up. But I'm really just wanting another layer. Here's that little kitchen timer I really want to add. So I'm going to let it sit there for a little bit. But I really just wanted another layer and some more color around the photo. So I pulled back in that yellow piece that had that strip of the floral. And instead of getting distracted by, the green and the floral that's on that piece, I'm just going to focus on the yellow and just use it as if it was just a yellow piece. And I like this a lot better. So again, I'm cheating because it's a scrap and I don't have enough of it to mat this way, but I'm just going to cut it and stack it on either side so it looks like a big horizontal yellow layer, and I really like that pop of yellow. I'm also adding that Just Lovely black banner to one of the frames, which I think is nice, and now I'm going to commit and stick down that yellow frame because I really needed it. But I think this is all the paper layers. I just need to round out my embellishment now. So, but I'm pretty happy with all the yellow scraps I have left. I think the only piece I really didn't use was that lemon print that I gutted from my first bonus layout that I really didn't need to gut. But there's always this voice in my head when I decide not to gut something, like, oh, what if you need it later? You're going to wish you saved it. So I gutted it and didn't need it, but oh well. And then I really wanted to try to use this other scrap of this border strip, and I just didn't need it, but I did want it somewhere else since I incorporated it into that bottom cluster. So I just trimmed another little fishtail banner to come out from this little kitchen timer, just so there's another element of that on the page. And I don't know if I'll leave it crooked like that. I kind of have it in line with the frame, but the frame is on a slant, so it makes the banner look crooked. I don't know if I like that or not. I might straighten out that black banner if it bothers me, but I'm going to pop part of this timer up on some foam since it's going over the chipboard frame, so it all lays flat. And I'm happy I got that used up. I didn't need to use it, but my goal on this page was to use all the kitchen stuff, so it's getting on here. I try again with this black frame. It's just not working. And I don't use that plaid banner scrap either. I think just with the black 12 by 12 that I chose, it made it difficult to use those other heavy black papers. I like the contrast better with the lighter, brighter colors. And again, I didn't need to add these, but I was determined to use all the kitchenware because I felt like if I didn't use it on this page, it would just never get used up and it would sit in my stash. So these wooden spoons I'm sticking in that timer cluster just to get them on the page. I think they're kind of cool. They're cute, those little wooden spoons. So I'm just going to stick those together and have them kind of tucking into the frame like that. And I think that's cute. I'm glad I got them used up. And it kind of beefed out that cluster a little bit. I wasn't intending for that to be a cluster, but I kind of needed to make it have a purpose because it was a part of the frame. And I just didn't want that house over there with nothing around it. So I turned it into a cluster and it helped me use up some extra kitchen stuff. So that's cool. But I'm going to get those spoons stuck down. I need to glue down on all of these layers. I haven't actually stuck them to the background yet. I don't really know what I'm waiting for, but that'll happen soon. I'm committing for this All Good Food piece 2. I'm sticking that down. I think that looks nice. And now I think I'm going to commit. I think I do want to add a little title, and then I need to get some brads on here. But we're getting close. I'm really happy with the amount I got used up on this page, but there's still some leftovers. So here's a couple brads I'm adding. I really wanted to get that yum piece since we're at a restaurant and this is kind of the food page of the month. And then I'm adding that white and black floral with a little green brad to the top. So there's kind of a cluster of 3 circles in both of those areas. And I like how those clusters are kind of reaching towards each other. So there's kind of this line of embellishment along the right side of the page. I like that. And then I just added 2 more pieces over by the wooden spoons so that I could have a visual triangle with those circular brads. And I go in with my tiny attacher and my Tim Holtz letters. I just wanted to note where we were, just so looking at this I can remember. It's called The Nest. I don't actually call it, like, title this The Nest, but the restaurant is called The Nest. But I'm just going to say barbecue date night just so I have something. Marcus looks very dapper. He wanted to dress up, so he has his little suspenders on, which I think is really cute. He loves those. But I'm just going to do this title along the bottom of the wood grain. I really like that pop of black as well. It kind of pulls that black into the layers from the background, which I think is nice. But I'm just going to get that last word down, and then I think tiny attachers, tiny attachers, and we're done. I wanted the staples to also create a visual triangle, so basically I'm just going to throw a couple into each of my 3 main clusters. So I'll do it next to the colander in the bottom right, in the upper left-hand corner on the Mixing It Up green banner, and then a couple down by the wooden spoons on the left. And I think that looks nice too. I love when I get to use like that silver nickel metallic, because I love being able to use my tiny attacher. So I'm going to go through and add the staples really quick, and then we'll be close-ups. But yeah, I had a lot of fun this month. I kind of liked that it was a slower month because I could really take my time with these pages. And I'm really happy that with a 4-page, kit, I was able to get 6 layouts done, which is really nice. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for the end of the month. We'll have our layout share, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.